Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In the last Bali episode you would have seen us catching a Gojek car to Ubud from Kuta. So here we are, we stayed at the Kartika bungalows on Jalan Monkey Road, not far from the actual monkey forest. There's the entrance. So let's take a look at the grounds and the actual little bungalow we stayed at. Beautiful landscape gardens. Little veranda to sit on, little clothes drying area. So let's go in and take a look. Just down below there was a creek running right through. There were 4 villas available at the time. 2 were under construction, so they weren't in use. So let's go in, take our shoes off. See the nice white tiles on the floor, little bar fridge. Just seeing if they left us any water, but the water was up the top there, wasn't refrigerated. A little bit of storage. There's never enough coat hangers when you stay somewhere, is there? We always end up buying some, taking them back home. There's the aircon controls, little lamp. Double bed, mosquito netting, which is very important in Bali or Indonesia in general because of the mosquitoes and the risk of dengue fever. So I was just testing it out. Trouble with those nets is you can actually trap a mosquito in there with you, so it sort of works both ways. Here we are in the bathroom. It looked a little bit outdated, probably needs a bit of a reno. The old shower in the bathtub trick. Bit of a trip hazard there, but you just got to be aware of it. The water was nice and warm when we used it, or hot. There's the bum gun. We never actually used that. There was no way I was going to shoot water up my ass. Little garbage bin handy. There's a vanity. Little sign there saying don't waste water, basically. Another garbage bin, you can't have too many garbage bins. Little bed sitter tables. Just checking out the netting again, make sure there's no holes. This was a really nice place to stay actually. Very friendly people, run by a family. There's the aircon. The aircon worked fine too, by the way. Coffee and tea station, the water they supplied every day, fresh water. Yeah, no complaints really. There's the pool. No one actually used the pool because just on the right there was 2 more villas under renovation actually. There's the free breakfast they provided every day. Now here's the monkeys. These monkeys would come and visit us just about every morning. They'd bring in little babies and show us, and the owners actually warned us not to feed the monkeys and keep our doors closed, because the monkeys can get into your villa and cause havoc. So we were just blown away by getting visited by these monkeys every morning. One of the main attractions of Ubud is the monkey forest, but because we were staying so close to a monkey forest, the monkeys actually came and visited us. So there was actually no need to go pay and see the monkeys at the forest. Yeah, it's just getting a bit close there, so I sort of started closing the door. You do have to be careful of rabies in the monkeys, so if they scratch you or bite you, you better get a rabies shot. We're going to take a look at some more monkeys out in the street here. Every morning and every afternoon they'd come out, cause havoc on the shop awnings, fly them all over the power lines. So it was a sight to see.
Oh yeah.
They also made quite a mess of their droppings and went through the offerings and made a mess as well. There's a gigantic monkey statue outside the park. This shot here is right outside the monkey forest, which was about 10 minutes walk from our bungalow. To get in the monkey forest, I think it was about $10 Australian, depending on what day. The weekends it was a bit more expensive. And if you're a local, you get it a lot cheaper. So yeah, in the end, we even though we had on our list to do, we didn't go in the actual monkey forest. We walked right around it and we stayed pretty close to it, and we saw our fair share of monkeys anyway. You really had to watch where you're walking. If you walked under trees or shop awnings, you didn't want a little monkey reminder dropping on your head. The babies were really cute. It was a little bit scary at first coming into contact with monkeys, but in the end you got used to it. So here we are in one of the many gift shops in Ubud. This one was just about 2 shops away from our bungalow. So I'm going to spend a few minutes in here looking at it. I won't do much talking. You can just check out the souvenirs for your shop. Not for your shop, for yourself. I believe wood carvings and wood sculptures are a big thing in Bali. Very important to the tourist trade. So most places we went, you'd run into these little wood carvings. It's Pinocchio. There's is that Groot? Yeah, Groot, baby Groot. There's a price there if you can make it out. Heaps of cats everywhere we went, wooden ones that is. There's Superman, Pinocchio again, Bart Simpson. Yeah, cats seem very popular, I don't know why. So we didn't actually see many live cats, we saw mostly dogs on the streets. I believe these were hand painted, possibly handmade, I'm not sure about that. All different sizes and shapes. There's a Harry Potter up there. Yeah, the shop owner was kind enough to let me film. I did ask him before starting to video his items, just to be safe. I think we see the name of the shop near the end of this segment. There's little, is that Yoda? Or, I forget his name, but baby Yoda. Little Groots again, Harry Potter. We didn't actually buy anything from this shop. It was very early on in the holiday, so we were still sort of checking out the prices, comparing them. There's the entrance here. I think we're going to see the name of the shop in a minute. There it is, Cha-Cha. That's Jalan Monkey Road out there. A bit of a temple across the road. There's so many temples and souvenir shops and markets. It was just a bit overbearing at times. Here's one of the street markets. Pretty much you saw the same thing repeated every 3 or 4 stalls. You can haggle the price with them. Yeah, one of the problems with holidays, buying souvenirs on holidays, when to actually buy the souvenirs. Do you wait for cheaper prices, or do you just grab something you like as soon as you see it in case you don't see it again for the rest of the holiday? So we picked up a couple of things here and there, but most of our shopping were left to the last day. It did rain quite a bit at night in Bali. During the day it was okay, but most days you're walking around the street it was pretty wet. So that sort of added to the humidity. Temperature on most days was hovering around the high 20s, early 30s degrees Celsius. The markets were very narrow too, and they allow motorbikes to come through, so you've got to be wary of little scooters driving through a market, especially when you're videoing. One of the things I do look for on holidays is fridge magnets, and I did added about half a dozen to my collection, which are now in my fridge in my kitchen at home. Yeah, this was filmed about 2 months ago. We got back on May the 18th, and today's August the 3rd. So I'm just trying to remember what I see as I edit this video, so excuse me if I'm a bit vague at times. I just can't remember where I was and certain prices. That's a tip to myself. Next time I go on holidays and decide to do a video, try and upload the video in the week or two following return home, otherwise you just forget too much. Trying to remember all this stuff 2 months later is just a bit too much for my old brain. Here's another example of all the fantastic woodwork you can see. Balinese people are one of the nicest people I've ever come across. They're really on a par with Thailand people, Thais, for friendliness and just overall, politeness, I guess you'd say. Always bowing to you and just helping you out when needed. Yeah, I really can't complain about the reception we had from the Balinese people. Here's just a few little wooden pictures. I really should have grabbed one or two of these because I didn't really see them again for the rest of the holiday, so I regret not buying some. That is a fish bar where you can sit and put your feet in the water and the fish come along and eat your dead skin. You can't do that if you have a cut on your foot because you can get an infection. The water might not be that clean. Here's one of the things we had on our list of things to do in Ubud. It's to visit the Ubud art markets. So here's the entrance here, just on the right. Here we are in the actual markets. I must say, I was a little bit disappointed in what I saw. It's pretty much the same as what I saw on the street markets, and prices were about the same. So yeah, a little bit disappointed. Still good to tick off your list. Because when we were looking at coming to Bali for a holiday, we, as you do, you search up the main attractions. And for Ubud, it was Monkey Forest, the art markets, and the what was it? The rice paddy, yeah, which we'll see soon in this video. Oh, and also silver making class, which we also do in this video. So keep watching, guys. Hopefully it's not too boring. You can fast forward it here and there when you want. Because pretty soon we'll be going through rice paddies and making some rings for our 25th wedding anniversary. Yeah, there's a few phalluses there. There seem to be a recurring little souvenir, the phallus-shaped key rings and statues and things, as you'll see in the future of this video. Here's the outside the street. You can see it's still a bit wet. So yeah, we spent a bit of time in the art market, probably 20 minutes, walked around. We didn't buy a single thing. Quite a few tourists around, which is good to see. The time we were in Bali, which was early May, it wasn't peak tourist season. That was about, I think, maybe not April, June or July. It was peak season. So I'm glad we missed out on the crowds. This bit is on the outside of the art market. The art market sort of was part indoor, part outdoor. We did actually buy a little fridge magnet at this bit of a market. As you can see, it's very cramped here, not much room to walk. And like I said before, you've got to be careful of scooters riding through. There's those pictures again. I really should have grabbed one of those. Those little statues were pretty cool. A little with a hat on them. Plenty of clothing. Really don't know how these people earn a living because there's so much competition. Your next door neighbour in the stall next to you is just basically selling similar stuff to you. So, and they all sell it about roughly the same price. So I really don't know how they manage to survive. Very rarely you find something unique in the markets. There's all these little alleyways cutting off the main area, so we didn't actually see the whole entire market. We just had enough. And then we ate at Ubud. This is one of the most expensive meals we had while we were in Ubud. Here's the meals. That's a fried duck with rice, and my wife had a seafood, I don't know if it was a curry or pasta I think. But that duck was so tough. It was fried to within an inch of its life, I think. It was really disappointing. Yeah, not worth the money. So after the meal, we went into another souvenir shop. And here's some traditional Balinese masks. You'll see the price, 100,000, which is roughly converts to about just under $10 Australian. The exchange rate sort of hovered around 10,000 to 10,400, so you got good value for money. We had a list of things we wanted to buy, and on that list was actually placemats for our kitchen. There's some penises there. Like I said before, there's so many penis sculptures and things. But yeah, we didn't find the placemats in here. There's some placemat thingies there, but we didn't want the whole sets. We didn't want the little one that's included, so we didn't get them. Yeah, look at that, guys. That was a very common sight in Bali. Some of these woodworking sculptures were just amazing. I don't know if they're all handmade or they're made in a factory, or I just don't know, but they were pretty impressive. There's the ducks. They crop their head up many times in these videos. The old cats and ducks and penises. That was a common sight. Some wind chines, you just got to try them, don't you? $95,000, that's about $9.40 odd. I know at customs you do have to declare any souvenirs made of wood, so we were a little bit wary of buying too many wooden statues or things. Yeah, just mainly because getting them through customs. These little vehicles were pretty cool. This little vintage car for about $7.40 Australian. And a little scooter, about the same price. Got to try those wind chimes out. This store was pretty big actually. If you're looking for souvenirs, this is a good place to look. Oh yeah, one of the other things we were looking for in Ubud was for soaps, for fruit soaps. I think we're going to see some later on maybe. But anyway, we did find them. I like these signs. Wouldn't mind getting one of them. Shells were a big deal too in Bali. Souvenirs made of shells. Yeah, those wind chimes there were made out of seed pods. Just checking out the Nike socks. That's about $4.40 Australian. There's the ones made out of seed pods. They made a really different noise. I don't think I could handle them making that noise all the time on a windy day. Yeah, I'm not really into wind chimes. So here we are out on the street. We're walking down towards the monkey forest. As you can see, the footpaths were quite narrow, and later in the video we're going to have a closer look at how bad some of them were. Very dodgy footpaths. A lot of the times you had to walk on the road, and then if you walk on the road, take the risk of getting hit by a scooter. I didn't see many traffic lights or stop signs. They just seemed to let the traffic flow, and if you're trying to cross the road, you really took your life into your hands. Because even on zebra crossings, cars and bikes just don't stop for you. You basically got to put your hand out, not too high though, about 45 degrees, and sort of ask them for permission to cross. Yeah, really dangerous crossing the road. Oh, here we are. We're going to the rice paddies. Yeah, it's actually called the Sweet Orange Walk, and that little sign you saw a few seconds ago gave us a lot of trouble. Actually, we were using Google Maps to try and find it, but we walked straight past it. But eventually we got there. It's off Jalan Raya Ubud. That's the name of the street where you enter, and it comes out at Jalan Kajang for those interested. But here's the start of the walk. It was really muddy and a bit uneven, so it's quite dangerous. There's a drop-off just on the right, just a bit further up when we get past the buildings. It had rain the previous night, and it was pretty tough walking in sandals, I must say. I have a problem with wearing sandals or thongs. I always get blisters, so I don't wear them at home back in Sydney. I only wear them when I go on holidays to tropical locations, but all the time I get blisters, and I'm always putting band-aids on my damaged bits of my feet. And because it was so wet, my feet were slipping around inside the sandals, and the band-aids would come off. So yeah, not very pleasant for me walking. Eventually it evened out a bit, as you can see. That dog didn't have anything to do with us, it's just a stray dog. But straight away it became very tranquil, very peaceful, very relaxing, I must say. That guy was just walking along, we let him past. You do need to be careful walking this trail because it is open to scooters and motorbikes. That is the only form of transport allowed inside the Orange Blossom Walk. Sorry, Sweet Orange Walk. Don't know where I get blossom from. Yeah, you can only walk or ride a scooter. There's no cars allowed inside, which is a good thing. A lot of this land in here is you're not allowed to build dwellings on it, but some people still go ahead and build them illegally, and the government's actually cracking down. There were signs in there saying certain areas you couldn't build a house on, or a warung restaurant thing.
Okay, turn left.
Perfect day for walking. It was very humid and hot, but thankfully the cloud cover sort of made it more enjoyable. There's one of the possibly a homestay. There were accommodations in this Sweet Orange Walk that you could rent out and actually live inside here. There were also many warangs and cafes. We'll actually stop at one a bit later. A lot of people still working the rice fields. Yeah, this was without doubt one of the many highlights for me on this holiday to Bali. I mean, it's not what you'd call exciting, but at our ages, this was what we were hoping to see. So the walk itself is like a horseshoe shape, which we didn't actually know. There was no map that we had with us.
Morning. Hey. No people riding.
Yeah, I just kept quiet then because I was saying hello to those two workers. Those two workers were laying these pavers, and I think it costs you about 40 Australian dollars to buy a paver and write your message in it. I could be wrong. It could be 80. It's either 40 or 80. I think we see a sign soon. But these guys have got their work cut out ahead of them because this path just goes on. And like I said, it takes about half an hour, 40 minutes to walk around it. We actually got a little bit lost because it does offshoot into little private roads where people live. So you can see those two guys laying the pavers have only just recently done all this because there's no grass on the edges yet. It must be quite a new idea, I'm not too sure.
Good morning.
There were a few other people walking at the same time as us. We did this walk early in the morning to avoid the worst of the heat.
Someone's riding a motorbike.
But you can see how we've done a concrete edge along outside of the pavers, and eventually they'll do a bit of landscaping. There's a motorbike. Do a bit of landscaping or lay some grass.
Yeah, that's like.
So it'd say about $40 a pop Australian. It's quite a good deal for whoever owns it. I guess the government gets the money. Yeah, a good way to rake in some cash. I guess over time these pavers would get a bit worn down from people walking and riding over them and getting covered in mud. Yeah, there's some big white birds down there. Did see a lot of roosters and chickens. Yeah, a few stray dogs walking along. There's a rooster in a cage. This is where they actually do the pavers, I believe. There's a sign there. We'll zoom in.
Oh, you can pay for it.
It doesn't actually say the price, I don't think, on it.
400,000.
It says donation, but somewhere along the line we saw another sign saying it was about $40. So yeah, there's a few examples of the pavers. I guess those guys are still going to lay those ones. These ones were a bit different. They were laid in like the actual walkway. And that's where it ended, I guess, for the time being, I mean. Because further along, the pavers start up again. There's the actual Sweet Orange warung or cafe. Possibly the whole walk was named after this cafe. Those heads on the left were made of coconuts. So, sort of reminded me of shrunken heads. Could be a bit scary for young kids. We didn't have a coffee at that cafe. We kept walking. We not long had a coffee, so it was too early to have another one. Back onto the pavers. So for some reason there was a bit of a gap back there where they stopped laying them, but now it's resumed. Yeah, the cafe was playing pretty loud music, that cafe there, so I had to mute this section. I was actually surprised at how many warungs were in here, little cafes and homestays. I really didn't expect to see that. I don't think I'd personally like to stay inside the rice fields because you definitely need a motorbike. I don't ride a motorbike. Here's some of the newly planted rice. Some more of the pavers. I guess with the amount of rain they get in Bali at times, that the irrigation isn't much of a problem. It always seems to be underwater. I would expect there'd be a lot of mosquitoes in this area, so anyone staying in those accommodations would need a mosquito net for sure. Yeah, really nice, relaxing walk. You just take your time, no hurry, just take in the sights and the smells and the sounds. Oh, here's the cafe we stopped at to get a snack. We got a couple of juices and some spring rolls, but the spring rolls were cold for some reason, so it wasn't that nice. There's an old-fashioned plough. It hasn't been used for a while by the looks of it. There's some of the workers in the rice fields. So that was the Sweet Orange Walk. I hope you liked it. After this, we went back out onto the street. Yeah, so after the Sweet Orange Walk, we stopped at a local warung here to have our lunch. And we actually came back to this place 2 days in a row. It was so nice. Very lovely settings. The food was great. This is actually an accommodation where they have an actual restaurant inside as well. That is quite a common feature of these accommodations. They have their own little restaurant inside. So here's what we had. I forget the name of it. Basically it was chicken or pork satays and some salad and some rice, some dipping sauce. So after that we went back out on the street and we started walking down towards the monkey forest. This is actually Jalan Monkey Road, the road that our accommodation, Kartika Bungalows, is located on. So it's about a 10-minute walk down the road to the monkey forest. You can just see it above those buildings down there. It's okay walking down, but walking up's a bit of a struggle. Just had a quick peek inside this shop. It had these cool bones and skulls. Not sure if they're made of ivory or not, but they were quite expensive. Yeah, something different. Always good to see something different for sale. So here we are at the monkey forest, and you can already see some monkeys up on the roofs and the wires. And as I said previously, there was no need to go in there. This was one of our main goals to do on our holiday, to do a silver making class. You previously saw how it starts off, little silver balls. You pick out a ring design you want to do, and they get you to melt the little silver balls. You've got to keep pumping and pumping the gas through to keep a flame going, which is quite tiring after a while, I must say, especially when you're wearing sandals or thongs. So here's my wife heating up her little silver balls, and they start glowing a bright orange, and when that happens they cool them down, and then they start hammering them into shape. You're dipping them in acid and then water, and then putting them on this block of timber, and then here's the hammering process. You start getting them into a rectangular shape. Here's me having a go at it. I was surprised how soft the silver actually was. The whole process took us probably an hour and a half to do. I guess we were a bit slow. We took our time deciding on what design and writing to put on the rings. I actually worked up quite a sweat in this whole process. I think mainly from the pumping of the gas pedal.
Yes.
Here we are, we're still trying to get the shape a bit longer, so it's always hammering it down and heating them up again and then cooling them off and then hammering again. Quite a long process. The actual course cost us 800,000, which is just under $80 Australian for two of us. Not sure how good the quality of silver was. This one you have to keep turning a handle and stretching out the silver. You have to be careful you don't squeeze the guy's fingers while you're doing it. But he didn't seem to really be that scared. He's probably done it hundreds of times. I found the safety aspect a bit lacking in the whole course. Like we're working with acids and flammable gas, and we weren't wearing any protective gear on our eyes or face, and we weren't wearing gloves, so either were the instructors for that matter. So yeah, the safety standards weren't quite comparable to Australia, which is all part of the fun, I guess. Because back in Sydney, we were too over-regulated. We're way too safety conscious, I believe.
That's easy. That's
Is that easy?
yeah.
One more?
So what are we doing now? Just showing my feet there, my sandals. Is my wife going to do something? Oh, it's her turn to roll out the silver. This process is making the band of the rings. We both made silver rings, and this is the stretching part. As I said, you've got to keep stretching it, and when it gets too cool, you've got to heat it up again, and then cool it down the acid, and then the water, and start rolling again. This wheel is a bit different. This actually has little grooves in it to really narrow down the silver, so you're finally getting that sort of ring shape that goes over your finger. And there's so many grooves you've got to send it through. See how it's come out? Started off with little balls of silver, then a little rectangle of silver. Now it's a long length. Here we are heating up again. This was an ongoing thing. We had to keep pedaling and pedaling to keep the gas coming out. At times I'd say to you, just do it softly, and other times I'd say, quicker, or faster. So it was quite tiring, and as I mentioned earlier, it was quite sweaty doing it. Not just from the heat from the torch, but also from the actual manual labour. Yeah, we're about halfway through now. We actually had to draw the shape of the heart and the writing inside the heart, so that they could cut it out for us and mount it to the actual band of the ring. This part here was a bit of a worry because the guy actually had to trust us to not hit his finger with a hammer. That was a metal hammer we're hammering with, and it was quite close to his knuckle. So we were just putting our names on the band of a ring and the dates. So just using a little ladder punch there. There were a lot of other people doing the course. We actually went to this silver place. There's many silver places in Ubud near the Monkey Forest. We went to this place the day before and booked our appointment. And then we came back the next morning and did our course. This guy is actually cutting out the heart shape of the ring. This is a job that we couldn't do. It's a little bit too dangerous for us. And then, we're almost on the finished product. We're just doing a bit of buffing, different grades of sandpaper sort of on a disc. Very light, very fine, I mean. There's my wife doing some. And then I think pretty soon we're going to do some buffing on a soft spinning wheel. So it was all very interesting. We'd never done this sort of thing before. And since it was our 25th wedding anniversary a few months prior to this, I thought it was a great fun thing to do while we're in Ubud. So we're getting very close to the finished product, I believe. On one of the rings anyway. We both had separate instructors. We didn't do it with the same instructor. I had one guy and my wife had another guy. There's the final polishing. Yeah, it really come up nice and shiny. A couple of times the wheel actually fell off and I had to put it back on. And there's the finished rings. So that was really a fun thing to do with my wife. After that we were pretty hungry, so we went back to that warung we were at earlier and I got a burger. Oh, this is one of the few occasions we got a heavy downpour during the day and we got stuck inside a shop until it stopped. Luckily we had some ponchos to wear. So every morning the shop owners put out these little, what do you call it? I forget. Like, it's to their gods. A little offering, that's it, offerings to their gods. So you had to be careful you didn't step on them. And talking about footpaths, look at this. This is one of the many dangers you face in Bali. Footpaths really aren't up to standard. That previous one had a lot of holes in it. This one is all sort of up and down. You've got to step up here, then you've got to step down there. There's no yellow paint to mark the troubled area. There's an open drain there. That's what you face when you're walking the streets of Bali. You've got to not step on the offerings, of course. This one you've got to step out onto a road to get around it. You've got to look to see there's no motorbike coming past. Then get back onto the road. Then there's motorbikes parked across. It's so difficult walking the streets of Bali. You really have to have your senses working. You have to have your ears and eyes open. And when you're filming like I was, it made it even more difficult and more dangerous. And the footpaths themselves are quite narrow as well. There's overgrown plants, low-hanging awnings. And there's see that drop-off on the left of that guy? When it's wet, that's a slip hazard there. And because the roads are also so narrow, sometimes the motorbikes pass within a foot of the footpath. So if you step out, you could easily get collected by a motorbike. So after that meal, we actually walked around the monkey forest. We didn't, as I said earlier, go inside because we didn't feel it necessary after we saw all the monkeys on the street and at our bungalow. This is a little area that we stopped at just outside the monkey forest. There's the name of it. The owners were kind enough to let us walk around and do some filming and take photos. It was actually an accommodation where you can live there. And we found this little banh mi warung. My wife and I love a good banh mi, so we thought we'd drop in here and try it. Here it is here. I got the banh mi, my wife got rice paper rolls, but I must say the banh mi didn't live up to our expectations. This is another meal we had, I think, that for dinner that night. And that was our last meal in Ubud. Hope you enjoyed it. So thanks very much for watching this video, and stay tuned for the next one where we went to Nusa Lembongan. And don't forget to subscribe. See you next time. Bye.